Hi, I'm Josh Cadillac, and welcome to my podcast, Know Your Shit. I've been blessed to see great success, as well as seeing the bottom up close and personal in 2008. And if there's one lesson I've learned, is that if you want to have success and differentiate yourself from everyone else out there, you need to know your shit. As a successful real estate and crypto investor and an educator, it drives me insane that people do not immerse themselves in their craft. Everyone is so busy advertising and testing new sales techniques, they forget the most important thing, the product. Here I want to talk to the folks that got this right, the most successful people in the world in every industry. Bring them to you and find out what they learned in their business that made it great. When you listen to my podcast, you will know for sure that the topics and experts we have on have one thing in common. They know their shit. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Know Your Shit podcast, where our knowledge and pride in what we do drives us to be excellent. My name is Josh Cadillac, and I'll be in the driver's seat for today's show as we strive to learn how to stop doing deals and start closing for life. We have a great show for you today. Without further ado, let's get started. With me today is Mr. Christian Bachelder. Christian, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. Happy to be here. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man. So, Christian, tell everybody what it is you do, bud.
Absolutely. What most people know me for is I am the broker and co-owner of the One Brokerage. I started it with David Green, the host of the Bigger Pockets podcast. We are a full service mortgage brokerage. So we do everything from conventional, your standard first time home buyer loans, all the way through somebody buying their 200th property, right? Everything from hard money, flicks and flip to long-term holds. Our goal is if there's a product out there in the market, we strive to offer it and offer it competitively and with good knowledge and advice behind it.
Borrowed money, man, it is one of the most powerful tools that exists, and one of the cheapest places on earth to get it is the United States of America. So
isn't that the truth?
It is what has allowed for the economy that we see to grow the way that it does. It is a powerful tool and so poorly understood.
Yeah.
I mean, I teach differential cash flow, and one of the things we talk about is cash on cash returns. And people act like that's the end all be all of analysis. And it's not, because in a market like this, where you have a reasonable expectation for appreciation to go up faster than it normally does, because the value of money is going down faster than it normally does, and we have an expectation that the rents are going to go up faster than they normally do because the value of money is going down faster than it normally does, the one thing that doesn't change is that mortgage payment. And if that mortgage payment stays the same, the portion of your income it represents continues to fall, and that differential between the two is something that you get to keep as the investor. So, understanding how to do a differential cash flow with debt service, understanding that mortgage payment is different than any other expense, because the other expenses, I have to bank on those going up with the rents. That's the one that I can sit there and figure. If it's a fixed mortgage payment, man, that's looking pretty sweet in this.
Pretty tough to compete with, 100%. I mean, we preach all the time. We even call it I couldn't agree more. The whole cash on cash, and that's, I believe, the biggest factor behind people just getting stuck in analysis paralysis is, what's this percentage that's going to pay me back? But man, in an economy like this, when you can fix any expense, I mean, gas bills just triple. I live in California. My gas bill just went up by 3x. I mean, anytime you can take a significant expense and fix it in time. And not just in time, you can fix it for 30 years in most cases. I mean, that's pretty nuts, right? Go back, what's 30 years ago? 1990? Imagine if you were paying your mortgage from 1990. That'd be pretty sweet.
Right? Pretty sweet. That's the thing that people don't, the time factor. And this is the thing that amps up in this type of inflationary market, is that time factor has more value than it normally does. We're used to seeing this incredibly low rate of inflation for the last 40 years. But if you take a look and compare this to the last inflationary market, man,
yeah,
what happened to prices the last time in the 1970s, man, this is prime for real estate to do exceptionally well. Even with high interest rates, real estate tends to outperform the rest of the market. And so, I mean, in the inflation class that I teach, the normal real estate appreciation for a decade is 50 to 60% for the decade.
Yeah,
1970s, it appreciated 177.6%. Why? Because the real estate didn't change. It's just the money got less valuable the whole time. But sorry, we get on tangents when we start talking about this stuff. So let me ask you this, Christian, what got you started doing this, man?
Oh man, I had a weird track here. I graduated from college as a chemical engineer, of all things. Graduated from UC Berkeley, absolutely hated it. Did not resonate with it. I felt kind of the ceiling of corporate America, and I knew that wasn't going to be for me. So I did something crazy and I took a plunge into sales. I came from an entire family of science background and people who knew one way to do things. Kind of funny. I didn't even know you could major in something else besides science in college. That was what it was, right? If you either fail or you major in science, right? Obviously I was very quickly, thrown on my head after I entered the real world. And turns out all of the successful people are business and real estate owners. But ended up, yeah, seriously, ended up kind of partnering up with a childhood friends of mine's dad. Took me in, kind of said, hey, I do real estate. This is how it works. We can start helping some people. And he started helping me understand finances. And I very, very quickly became obsessed. I became obsessed with growth. I built a number of companies, and this sounds like it just one thing led to another. That's not true. Obviously there's 100 steps in between. But it ultimately ended up with me trying to maximize being in sales, maximizing the amount of time that I could spend with clients. And I did that by realizing, hey, when I started as a realtor, for instance, hey, I'm spending a minute, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever, with this client as a realtor, advising them, giving them knowledge of the area of cash flow potential, whatever the case may be. But then they have to go to talk to somebody else for a loan. And usually that lender messes up. And if I refer him, usually that tarnishes my name.
Yes,
so I don't like that. So I went and got a lending license. Then I found the same thing happening with insurance. Hey, this person's going and getting an insurance policy and their house burned down and now they weren't covered properly. If you know, the tragedy is around the time when I got my insurance license was after the Paradise kind of tragedy, I would call it, in California, where 90% of people weren't properly insured. And it was a retirement community and multi-million-dollar homes, and nobody could rebuild them because a fire, it was so hot that it burned the concrete. I don't know if you know how hot fire has to get. Yeah, fire has to get incredibly hot. Literally the floors and not the floors, but the roads were not there after the fire. That's how hot it got. Wow. Eviscerated everything in the area, like unrecognizable. It just looked like a barren wasteland. And probably even now to today, probably 30 to 40% of the houses have been rebuilt, and probably 10% of those were out of the owner's own money. Gotcha. So that didn't resonate with me well. So I went and got an insurance license, and that eventually led to us. I eventually ended up running in the same circles with David Green and people of that caliber. We started the One Brokerage, which is kind of meant to fuse this, divide, just like you were saying earlier. People aren't financially literate in America, and I am trying to change that. We give free consultations and advice to whoever wants it. And, it still shocks me how everybody, even my own family, there's one way to invest. You go get a good college degree, you get a W-2 job, and you throw money into a 401k until you die.
And Christian, here's the thing, right, brother? Plenty of education. You were exposed to education your entire life. That mainstream education falls so short. Oh yeah. So far short of telling people what they actually need to do to be successful, to take advantage of the system that we have that rewards your ability to help people in the most meaningful way by making capital available.
Blows my mind.
What the thing that really kills me is how poorly understood it is by everyone in academia. Yeah. Like I went to college and I knew this stuff, and I went coming out not with, blown away at how great the scholarship was. I came out with 4 of my professors as investors in my fund because they had no idea what to do with their own money.
Love that. Wish I was doing that time. I was one of those ones that you would consider financially illiterate, but man, I was thinking about this the other day. I didn't even know how a credit card worked when I graduated.
Yeah.
Didn't even know. I didn't know if you pay it off every month, you don't pay interest. I didn't know that. I had no idea.
It's nuts because, I talk about it all the time, the housing crisis, it was all predicated on this predatory lending, giving people loans they didn't understand. What the hell do you call the college loan situation right now? Those kids have no idea what kind of debt they're. You've never taught them how debt works. Not once. There's not a class on it anywhere. And you got them signing off on hundreds of thousands of dollars on a job they hope that'll be sitting there waiting for them. It's brutal. And we really drop the ball when it comes to taking and showing folks this stuff. So it's up to us to be I won't say the voices in the wilderness. There's plenty of voices out there, but sure. The ones that are out there having to take and make up for the fact that this is something you're going to have to educate yourself on in your own time.
Yeah.
Where did all the success come from for you, bud?
I think I've gotten this question a lot, and I'd say the single biggest factor, I mean, people say luck, people say combination of whatever, preparedness and good opportunity. But I'd say I when I was growing, when I was in the industry, when I was seeking out more, I was just always trying to put myself in the right rooms. And that's like a phrase that I'm using a lot this year because I'm trying to use it in our company as well. People are always looking for a 30-second elevator pitch. They're always looking like, what's the instant like conversion that I can have? Like if, I'm a lender, right? We try to market to realtors. If I have a realtor in an elevator with me for 30 seconds, what can I say to win them over? And it clicked with me. That's never what I did when I was building my business. Instead, I went and found a room where a realtor was hanging out for an hour, right? I don't want 30 seconds. Let me get to know that person. I'm going to see what they're about. Are they an investor themselves? Are they looking for loan products? What kind of clients do they represent? Is it first-time home buyers? Is it long-term investors? What are so that we can start driving a little bit? And that's where real estate meetups, that's where bigger pockets, it's where podcasts, all that comes into play. And you all of a sudden start seeing yourself surrounded with people that you don't need to sell to. They're looking for you.
Yeah.
Right. They're like, I think of like Bigger Pockets convention, right? So it was in San Diego this year. I think like 4,500 people registered there. And I was just thinking, if I was brand new to the industry and there was a weekend where everybody was within the same four walls, the David Greens and the Brandon Turners and everybody's running around talking to everybody, and there's 4,500 people that are all there and interested in real estate, why is every realtor in America not attending that? Right? That's how I think of it. I'm like, man, everybody's already here looking for services anyway. Sure, the competition is going to be heavy, but if you can't go to a convention for 3 days and talk to 4,500 people and convert 10 of them, 12 of them, close one a month for your next year, most realtors don't close one loan a month, or one purchase a month, right? And that's, I really attributed that. It's just seeking out those rooms where people are looking for you. Obviously, this is sales based, but just being obsessed with growth. And obviously, once you are in that room, you got to have the knowledge and the readiness to be able to advise people correctly and have the understanding of what they're looking for. And that's just preparation, right?
And that sounds like nothing different than what I train my real estate agents to do, which is, and honestly, it's just good negotiating.
Yeah.
Right? Good negotiating really starts from this place that you're talking about of asking questions about, who is this person? What do they need to know? What's their motivation? What's their reason, right? And then how can I take and position myself best to show them when I can meet that need? It's good stuff, man. I love it. So what do you like best about what you do?
Honestly, I like the impact that it's brought to people in my circle. I'm probably going to retire my mom next year. That's something that I never thought would be possible.
Mm-hmm.
I employ my college roommate, right? I was the best man at his wedding, right? One of my best friends, I offered him a position where he 3 or 4x his income. That's awesome to me, right? Like, oh my God, somebody trusted me with their really giving up what he was pursuing otherwise in his life. Totally different career trajectory, right? He was in corporate America, same I was. Came here, put his faith in me, and he's been rewarded hand over fist, right? I mean, that's a really cool feeling to me that obviously, I mean, everybody's selfish to a certain degree, right? I want my own success and my credibility and all that. But the fact that you can grow businesses and bring people with you and build on each other's success. And I mean, I'm only as good as my company can have me be, right? I mean, I only have so many hours in the day.
Yep.
But the fact that you can start really building a culture and building a vibe, and, we go on company retreats, and it's just cool. The fact that you can build with some really good people around you and have them really be rewarded for hard work is for sure far and away the thing that keeps me going on the day to day.
Sure. No, it winds up when it becomes bigger than yourself, it's easier to keep yourself motivated, it turns out.
Absolutely.
People miss out on this a lot. It's something I've been working a lot on recently with one of the talks I'm working on. But what do you think, Christian, makes you good at this thing?
I think being able to we're a pretty creative, just lending speaking, we're a pretty creative lender. We have products when people stop qualifying. I mean, I know I ran into this. I have more than 10 properties. Once you get that, at that point, you don't qualify for a conventional loan anymore, right? Being able to convert to more creative financing, be able to, analyze people's income and things a little bit differently than, like, say, a Wells Fargo or a Chase can, right? They just can't do certain things. But really, I think where highest value is to customers is just, we do this ourselves. Like I'm an investor, I'm buying houses, I'm getting these same loan products that I get people. I know how they work, right? I know how properties can cash flow. We help borrowers. There's not many lenders that will review like the profit and loss of a rental property with you, right? Like we'll go through the numbers. Let's talk about it. Does this make sense? I've told people to fall out of escrow when I don't know if any lender will really do that, right? Like, no, I want to make the commission. Let's close this deal. I'll actually tell them this is not a good deal for you, right? We should back out, get the next one, right?
Yep.
And I think that just comes from a point of our kind of company motto, so to speak, is we have to leave people in a better financial position than when they met us. They either have to have more money, more cash flow, more possibility, upcoming. It can't be somebody that we took, with $100,000 in the bank with no debts, and we put them in a bunch of debt, no income, and no perspective for more income, right? It's got to be something that moves in the right direction. And we've taken people from, mountains of debt to 15 properties. It's a really cool process to see happen. Yeah. And I think ultimately that all leads up to why I'm doing this kind of tour and everything right now. My goal that I'd like to kind of become a household name, not myself, this idea, hopefully this year. We have a book coming out. It's going to be called One House a Year. And the idea is whatever you're doing with your standard 401k or your IRA or all these things that you've been told is the only way to save for retirement, if you took just that contribution and bought one property a year, don't care about cash flow, don't care about appreciation, don't care about anything, take all the benefits of real estate away, right? I want to compare just real estate to a stock or whatever your 401k is invested into, bonds, mutual funds, whatever. Put it on a 30-year loan and only target properties that break even or minor cash flow. In 30 years, assuming this is a 30-year loan, so you start doing this at 25, that means you end it at 55. Your first year of retirement, you're going to have a paid off property.
Mm-hmm.
Cash out refinance. And we just supplemented your retirement income better than a 401k ever can, because that $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 property, whatever it is going to lead to $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 of cash out refinance funds, tax free. At that point, appreciation is there, rent appreciation is there, tax savings are there, everything else is there. You have value add opportunities or refinance opportunities before then. But the idea is you're subsidizing your retirement to take advantage of tax-free income every year of your retirement, because the house you buy in year 1 is the cash out year 30. Year 2 is 31. Year 3 is 33. And every year you have a house being paid off that is now an access to equity and capital. An
influx of capital. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's a retirement plan. I would love if in 50 years, this becomes the new American 401k. There's tax benefits, there's strategies, there's things that just the regular model of what corporate America has told us the way is to retire is the least effective way to do it.
Yeah, well, it keeps us as a drone working for them. So
correct. And it keeps money pumping into the stock market that companies can't operate without investors in the stocks, right? Yeah. So that's what my big passion is right now, kind of advising people, hey, there are alternatives to what you think is the only way, right?
Yeah. No, it's a great idea. I heard that a long time ago. Yeah. And I always thought it was a good idea. And that's for me, I don't have a 401k. My 401k is exactly.
Me neither.
I buy them as fast as I can get them. I'm perpetually broke. Got great cash flow coming in, but perpetually as soon as I get enough.
Yep. So I live in that same cycle, right? And then the point where you have to do it for cost segregation and all the tax savings and all that, and that's a different world. But if you got a 30-year plan, it doesn't matter, right? If you're hoping for appreciation in 2 years, like we just had in 2020 and 2021, don't make a game plan based on that. But 30-year plans are foolproof in real estate. You're not going to fail, right? Yeah.
Over a 30-year period of time, real estate always does well.
100%.
On the long, it's a big, slow moving market, and that's a beautiful, beautiful place to have your money.
That's right.
The only one knock is really the lack of liquidity. And if you position yourself properly, you can provide yourself with plenty of it when you need it.
That's right.
So what is it about you that you think creates that edge, Christian?
Oh, man. I would say, number one, I've every person that I employ, I've done their job, right? So that's the pretty standard mantra of the commander that's been in the trenches, right? In the Army analogy. The commander in chief is supposed to have been, a soldier at some point, right? That's how historically it's been. Not only have I represented, I've been a loan officer, I've been a realtor, I've been an insurance agent, I've also been a client. So I've done these things, right? I have insurance policies, I have, properties purchased. But ultimately I am, my pitch that I used to do, it sounds like you train realtors. So imagine if your realtor heard a lender's reaching out to you. My pitch used to be, you'll love me because I don't take vacations and I don't have kids. That literally used to be my pitch. Like, hey, next time your current lender doesn't pick up the phone, call me. Here's my cell phone, and I don't have 2 cell phones. Everybody who's ever got my cell phone has my personal direct cell phone number. Yeah. I got probably 400 missed calls today, and I always call them back within 24 hours. That's literally what my voicemail says. And I just think being able to still scale and grow and reach a level of success, but still have that driving you. So many people get to a level and they, then they get a second phone, or they don't publish their phone number, or they, kind of phase out and, oh, well, I made it, I can start to delegate now. And which I do. I delegate the things that I need to run a successful business. But the accessibility that I have and the knowledge that I still try to impart on anybody who reaches out to me, I think that's pretty rare. Maybe I'm pompous, but I think that's pretty rare for people once they start succeeding into an industry to still feel like they're a frontline worker, right? And I do.
I feel like that what you're saying is accurate. When so many people in this business, it's all about the next paycheck, and being about something more than that gives you a perspective. It allows the business to be a true asset in your life rather than a place that you go to earn money. Absolutely. To try to make your life meaningful. Your business actually contributes to the meaningfulness of life, and I think that is a tremendous benefit. It's something I've been working a lot on extensively. I mean, you're hitting right in where a lot of the newest content that I've been coming out with. The new book is largely about that idea. And so, man, I'm with you. 100%.
It's tough. It's tough to kind of make that divide too, because I mean, especially in America, we're very obviously capitalistic, and we're it's easy to fall into that pursuit of money, and that's all that matters. But like, you got to find stuff. You got to find, like, at the end of the day, like, I really like building up my team. Right. Like, I love that I can take people, and that's still money related, right? I'm helping them make more money, more income. But man, it feels good when you got all your people around you and they're all succeeding, and you're advising people and you're putting people in better financial positions than when you met them. It's cool. It's a super rewarding, great feeling.
I think that that doing capitalism right, where you're looking for what the other person needs and how you can give it to them better than they can get it someplace else, because actually that's what capitalism requires more than anything. Is it requires you first to consider the other person. And so when you're talking about your employees and stuff like that, how do I help them get what they want so that they can help me get what I want?
Of course. Yeah.
And so I think that's probably why it works as well as it has for us, is just because it requires us to take. I mean, I talk about it all the time, that Shark Tank, man. You turn on Shark Tank and you see these people finding problems that people have and figuring out ways to solve them. And it's just all this creative brain matter going into taking these problems. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And it's what works.
Yeah. I just think, I mean, how many problems has that solved, right? I mean, how many new products, how many services, how many, I couldn't agree more. I mean, that's obviously, there's, things that people have get in their way, but, at the bare bones, bottom line of our market and what, the pursuit of it is really supposed to be, it's exactly that. It's solving the world's problems and obviously benefiting each other for it. But you just got to find something that gives you that drive, and you have to believe in what you sell. I mean, I've met so many realtors and so many lenders who joined in 2020 and 2021 when a monkey could do a loan. It's like 2.99 interest rate. That's all I have to know, right? It's like anybody can do it. And houses sold themselves, and every stay-at-home mom was a realtor. Every single one of them, because it was an easy gig, and it was at the time. But man, that was selling a lot of what your value should be short. It was really selling it short, Sure. Being able to advise people right, and being able to, have people not just, you have to offer $300,000 over asking. That's just the market we're in. Well, that was a crazy time. That's not really how this job's supposed to look, Yeah.
But, well, I mean, sadly, people are so willing to accept what they currently see as how it's always been,
Yeah,
especially folks that are new.
very true.
And so, having an appetite for really being the goods. That's, if I could take and give you the elevator pitch of what I teach agents, rather than faking it till you make it, here is the ultimate hack. Do the freaking work.
Yeah.
Know what the hell you're talking about.
So true.
Learn the product. Christian, simple one. I want to embarrass a real estate agent. It's always the easiest question in the world to ask them. What's good about real estate? And watch them squirm. They can't answer it. They're out there
if they don't believe in it, right? If they don't believe in it
themselves. It's not they just don't understand it. Like, they've learned sales tactics, they've learned marketing techniques, they've learned social media, blah, 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 blah. But they can't go out there and actually tell you, hey, Christian, you should do this, and this is how your life's going to be better because my product does this and it does it better than anything you've ever seen in your life. And it's not made up. It's not garbage. It's the goods, being the actual goods.
Yeah. And it's tough because I think very poorly of most of our industry. I just think 90% of people who are in it shouldn't be doing it. There's 10% that are good, know their shit, and they're getting it done. But it's funny. I just used this analogy on a podcast I was on the other week, but I said, would you trust if you walked into the Mercedes dealership and that Mercedes dealer is just telling you all the bells and whistles? He loves it. He's saying this is the best car on the road. And then you see him go home at night and he drives home in a BMW. Wouldn't that be a little weird? It's the same price point. It's not a money thing. Like if he drove home in a Honda, okay, maybe he's just on a budget, but it's the same price point. It's the same like class of vehicle. Why aren't you driving what you sell, bud? What's going on here? And you're sitting here telling me it's the best car on the road and I spend my money on anything else. And I bet you wouldn't approve if I went and tried to buy a Beamer right now, right? Because you're not going to make any money, right? It's the same concept, man. If you don't believe in what you sell, you're not going to be good at it. You're not going to understand it. You're not going to have that motivation and that pressure on you to go find good opportunities and advise people correctly. And it's what this industry needs more of. I'll put it that way.
I would agree with you. And honestly, because one of the questions I ask, and I teach all over the country, is what percentage of agents would you say are bad agents? And I ask real estate agents this. The number I hear most routinely is at least 80%.
Yeah, I would agree.
That's from agents. So, the customer having a low perception. But here's the thing, I think, Christian, and I think this is the one that sticks in people's craw. If they understand the product well, and the product is really a good product, then they have no excuse when they can't sell it. And people love to leave themselves an out. People love to leave themselves an excuse, because I got to tell you what, if you can't sling real estate, as good a product as that is, if you understand it and you still can't sell real estate, you're going to have
probably not for you.
You may have problems that are larger than just an inability to sell real estate. Let me ask you this before we keep philosophizing here, because I'm really enjoying this.
Sure.
What are the most important things you've learned in the process of doing what you do? If you wanted to give folks, some nuggets so that you think were helpful, what would that be?
Oh man, got a million. I'd say so. I'm really big on obviously people say compounding all the time when they're talking about interest and everything else, but I'm huge on compounding like every aspect of my life. You heard a little bit about earlier how I compounded the time that I spent with a client by starting new services, right? So I was doing real estate, I started lending, I started insurance because I felt like I was compounding the time that I spent with a borrower or with a potential client. Same thing with my business. Like when David, my business partner, and I own property together. So but in the time that we spent together as friends, as business partners, we were also investors together. We didn't even know it yet though. But because I'm in that mindset of, hey, let's get the most out of this relationship or this time or, this dinner or this coffee hour or wherever you find yourself, right? Like, how can I'm spending an hour with a friend, but maybe this friend wants to partner up on a deal, right? And always being in that mindset, I don't want to say, let it dominate your life, but always being in that mindset, the same way that you want to go put your money in a stock or in real estate or whatever and have it compound. People don't really think about that with time very much, right? Are you compounding your time? Like this time, do you have a deadbeat friend? Is your time really compounding with them? People usually say you're like the company you keep, right? Like you're really compounding your time with the deadbeat friend. And there could be, an aspect of you're trying to save them or something like that. I get that. But if you'd be shocked at how you change your habits when you realize, oh man, this isn't really doing anything for me, like long-term wise. This is like, I'm just spending 5 minutes here. Just, this 5 minutes could become 10, could become 15, could become 20. Right.
Sure.
That was a big thing that kind of shifted me in my business, because it really honed my care and attention into where I put my minutes during the day.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Investment versus consumption.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of, there's only two ways to use a scarce resource, that idea, investment or consumption. And the deadbeat friend, that's going to be consumption. The time you put in there, odds are you're not getting anything back on that. Maybe you're going to feel good in the moment, but that's the same difference as, eating the carton of Ben and Jerry's ice cream.
Yeah.
It feels good until you finish. Actually, it feels good for the first 2/3 of the container. I don't know if you picked.
Oh yeah, it doesn't feel good in the last third.
The last third, but you're looking at the last third. Now you start like questioning your own masculinity.
Yeah.
You can power through. And I think they made it just that size so that you get that last third. You're like, well, gee, if I eat it now, it won't be there to tempt me tomorrow. And so you have that whole. Okay, so it's not just me. It's a thing.
And even the nutritional facts, they put it like 1/3 of a container.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well there's one more serving in here. Let's do that, right?
Yeah, let's finish when we start.
That's right.
My parents didn't raise a quitter.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so Christian,
sometimes it can be good to quit.
Sometimes you should walk away. There are times.
100%.
So, what are you most proud of in business that you've accomplished, Christian?
Talk about a little bit, definitely the impact I've had on my immediate sphere. My ownership to David and his name, and he trusted me with a big, kind of foundation there, a big platform. I feel like I've owned up to it well, and we're not nearly even close to done, right? So continuing that. But I'm all in all, I'm proud of the impact that I've had on people's lives, our clients, my employees, whoever it is. I don't want to say karma. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a super spiritual person, but I have felt that, right? I mean, you invest in other people, they're going to invest in you, right? If they believe in their broker, I'm the broker, I have a responsibility to them, right? Like, in the real estate industry, I mean, there's the agent and the broker. A lot of brokers are deadbeats. A lot of realtors are deadbeats. Like, if you have a broker that you believe in, who's training you, who's guiding you, who's there for you anytime you have a question, who's running the company in a way that builds your trust, and you get motivated, you're pumped up to work for them, right? I mean, that's a beneficial relationship. They're going to get the most out of you, right? And you're going to bring the most back to their brokerage. I'm proud of the culture, right? And the impact that culture allows.
Love it, man. What about in life in general? We talked about business. What are you most proud of in life? Getting mom to retire. That sounds like a good one.
That's a big one. Yeah, that's kind of my whole life. It's been me and my mom against the world. That I feel like that's head and shoulders above the rest, to be honest.
It's a great one.
I want to give her, she wants to have an animal rescue and a farm, and I'm putting the numbers aside that, I'm working in my head. Okay, we need this to care for the cows and the horses, so I'm seeing how much I need to do it every year for the rest of her life. I'm not there yet, right? She doesn't have her farm yet, but that will 100%, that's my biggest pursuit. And I know once that happens, that's going to feel damn good.
Yeah, man. That's that idea of virtue ethics. My brother's is an ethics professor. He's actually a philosophy professor in ethics.
That's awesome.
The idea of ethics, of doing the right thing because you're always becoming someone. Yeah. And that idea of the pursuit of happiness, that idea that the choices that we make have consequences that linger beyond just the actual choices is good stuff. So, whether you want to call it karma or whatever, you're always becoming something. And that matters because you're stuck with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, couldn't agree
so,
more.
All right. What one piece of advice would you give our listeners?
You got to build a network. It's every time I ask this year, I'm saying the same thing. You got to have, David calls it your core 4. It could be your core 15, right? Any service that you feel, and this is real estate related, but this could be, take this analogy straight to life. If you're trying to accomplish a job or a task, you have to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you, who have done it before, or who have the knowledge or materials on hand to do it, right? When I started the One Brokerage with David, I had the knowledge. I didn't have a platform. Like, nobody knew who I was. I was not, I didn't have a podcast. I didn't have a big standing. So I partnered with somebody who was much better in that realm. And I brought the knowledge. I brought a lot of what he didn't have, right? I knew loan products. I knew how to sell. I knew how to advise people, to analyze properties and run loan products and all that. I knew how to lead people. I knew how to guide people. I had a small team prior to joining David. And just that simple fusion of me seeking out something that I didn't have led to an opportunity that I would have never been able to attain myself. Maybe I did, but it would have been exponentially longer time, right? So if somebody's, real estate being the example, have a contractor, have a lender, right? If it's me, cool. I'm not here to pitch myself, but go have a lender that you resonate with and you like what they offer and you like how they talk and you feel like you're going to get good advice from them. Get a realtor, right? And if you have that team that you can always lean back on and say, hey, I have confidence that they're going to steer me right. If this does go wrong, I have this for backup. You're nothing without people surrounding you, because one person, no matter how strong they are, they can only carry so much, right? And if you can get a team to help support you, pretty soon you got a business and you got a portfolio and you got a retirement, you got a farm for your mom, if you can start trusting and relying on other people and obviously within reason. There's, that doesn't mean levy all responsibility once again, right? You got to make sure that you're owning your own cut there as well. But that would be it. Network above literally everything, especially in this industry.
Yep. Makes sense. Leverage the people that you know, by all means.
Absolutely.
So if you could recommend one book or one movie for our folks, what would that be?
Book or movie? I would probably be not a good partner if I don't shout out my business partner. David Green has written multiple books on investing in real estate. Long distance real estate investing teaches you how to invest in markets outside of your hometown. How to build, he calls it your core four, that contractor, realtor, lender, yada, yada. He also wrote, if you are a realtor, he's writing his 3 books to be a better realtor. I believe it's sales. I think the first one is Sell. Second one is Sell, Scale. And I think the last one's going to be called Pillars. Last one isn't out yet. He's about to release that. Those are really good. Just diving into the mindset of, he's like a super agent. I mean, he's one of the top agents in Keller Williams in the country. But there's one for clients and one for, and he wrote the Burr book too. Burr is kind of strategy that's been around for a while now, but the buy, rent, rehab, refinance, repeat.
Yep. Big fan of that.
Anything by David Green. He's my business partner. I got to do him right.
All right. Good stuff. So Christian, we talked about the past. We talked about the present. What's next for you? What's the next project? What's the next big thing we should be looking out for from you?
Absolutely. Number one is the book. That's the big pursuit right now. One house a year. Should be out by the end of this year. That one we're excited about. It's going to teach people replacing your 401k with a real estate driven portfolio. That's number one. Number two, we're expanding nationwide in all services. So hopefully, actually, by the time this podcast comes out, we'll have real estate lending and insurance sales in every city in America. That's the goal. That is the goal. Right now we're in lending wise, we're getting close to nationwide. We're rolling out the insurance division of the company here shortly. Like I said, it literally may be finalized by the time this podcast airs. But that's super exciting for us, just so that we can start, if somebody may hear this in Kansas and I'm in California, we wouldn't have been able to help them. Right. Yep. We are coming to every state in America, and that will be happening quickly. We're excited about it.
Good stuff. So let me ask you this. What do you do to unwind?
Good question. Don't find very much time for that nowadays. It used to be working out like a maniac. I used to just be insane with it. I am going to be getting back into that as my goal. But I'm a very avid snowboarder. Absolutely love snowboarding. Unfortunately, I do live in California. Somewhat limited.
I would throw a little bit of a monkey wrench at it.
Yeah, somewhat limited, but I get around. I've snowboarded in Portland, Utah, Colorado. Try to get around when I can. Other than that, honestly, a big animal person. You take me and my dog out to a park for a day and I'm happy. I would throw the Frisbee, toss it down the little lawn with him, and he'll go up and chase it and grab it out of the air. That's probably where I'm at my happiest. Get me a couple close friends, get me some food on the lawn there, and let me throw a Frisbee with my dog, and I'm good.
Dog and food. You know what? We could get along.
That's right.
I bring my dog to work with me every single day.
There you go.
Although if I threw a frisbee, he'd probably just look at me like I was out of my mind. I have an English
It
bulldog.
took some training, to be fair. He did not get it the first time.
The English bulldog, I don't think will ever get the frisbee.
May just be something that's outside his wheelbox for sure.
Yeah, the breeding did not extend that far.
That's funny. So
Christian, buddy, if folks wanted to find you, where could they find you?
Absolutely. Our website, just if you are looking for lending, theonebrokerage.com. It's spelled out, or just the number one brokerage, or the ONE brokerage. I'm also, I believe, the One Broker on social media with underscores in between. The One Broker on, I think, Instagram and TikTok. And my email, just if you want to get a hold of me, is christian@theonebrokerage.com. Pretty straightforward. Everything's at the One Brokerage.
Consistency is important.
That's right.
All right, Christian, thank you so much for your time and hanging out with me, man. It was fun talking to you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys.